Alright, we are back in the garage with the linear on the big door and the genie on the small door still. My sketchy hang job back here is still held up, and also up front here that is also held up. But I've got something kind of interesting to show you guys today. So you guys probably remember a few months back I got that overhead door 7EZ-1, and for a little while I've been talking about trying to put it on one of my commercial openers, or trying to put its rail on one of my commercial openers to see if it fits. And well, that's what I did today. Came out and I put my LiftMaster model MT5011U, logo's kind of covered up there, but I put my MT5011U on the rail for the automate, and it does fit and it does run. Now this is clearly not ideal, the ideal way of doing it, but the way I have it is there's this bolt here and this bolt here in this little L-shaped spot, and it holds it in and it keeps it from tilting up and down. It holds it in place well enough. So I guess that means that I could attempt to show, or to put this opener on the small door. I have no clue how well that would work. One thing I can say is this thing would definitely be a pain to get on the ceiling because it's so heavy, but I could certainly try, and that also means that I could if I can manage to build a short version of this rail, I'll be able to put the automate and my commercial openers on the mini door, and that is something that I would like to see. So we'll get there at some point. I have not tried the PowerMaster yet. That one I don't think has the same bolt pattern, so that one might need a little bit more modifying. Maybe I have to drill a hole in this track here, but I should be able to get it to work, which this does work. The chain is quite loose, it drags here, but that doesn't really have a whole lot of effect on how it runs. This thing does run pretty well, so I have commercial safety sensors hooked up. I've got this button hooked up, which I'm trying to think, what did this come off of? I think these ones come with the newer Buchanan openers. These come with newer Buchanan openers. This one was a dumpster find, so I must have replaced the Buchanan with a Buchanan, or they just didn't replace the button, or I'm not sure, but this is what the Buchanan buttons look like. Kind of interesting. Got it hooked up with some 4-strand wire that I have. So this does run well. The only real thing I have is, like I said, the chain is really loose, which you can see there is some adjustment here, but I tried and I can't seem to get those bolts or those nuts loosened up. They seem stuck. So I think, well, they might just need a little more persuasion, maybe some WD-40, I'm not sure, but also it doesn't really look like I have a whole lot of room left for adjusting the chain, so, but it's alright, it still runs. So why don't we go ahead and show you how this works. Zoom out, and I'll hit the close button. So yeah, you can tell the chain is pretty loose, but I mean, it does work pretty well. So, I mean, this button is fully working as well. So it does stop, so there's a kind of a decent angle. So yeah, that is loose. Part of the reason, I guess, could be because there's only one support thing here in the middle. Usually commercial openers have a few brackets similar to this that kind of hold the chain up to put less strain on this piece here, but yeah, it's alright, it does run. Hold on. Alright, sorry, so somehow I forgot where I set the remote down, even though I just put it down. So I have my 373p program metal button. So why don't we just run this one more time here. Zoom out again. Here we go. So you can hear that chain dragging. The other thing about these openers is the biggest problem with these is the remote range. I've seen and heard of a lot of complaints about how the remotes have horrible range on them. And what the solution is it's either, I can't remember if it's the coax antenna or if it's just an antenna extension, whatever. It plugs into the logic board, and then the remote range is perfectly fine. And that's a known issue. LiftMaster knows about it, but to my knowledge, they still are not including those with these openers, which is kind of stupid because, I mean, the part's not that expensive. I think it's like $20 when you buy it separately, and I'm sure they could just include it with this opener for just a few extra dollars. So that's really that's the biggest issue with these openers. Actually, why don't I show you the little sticker on it with all the info. So it is an MT5011U, half horsepower, made September 24th, 2012. So it's about 11 years old. Yeah, so there's the little chain that drives the limits. This is the motor. You can tell it definitely is smaller than like the standard duty motors are. It's not, definitely is a lot bigger than a residential motor is, but a lot smaller, I guess shorter than a commercial motor. And then you've got the V-belt there and the secondary reduction. The other thing when I put this up, or if I put this up on anything, is I may need to get a commercial arm for this, because you can see how small these holes are. I don't know how it will work having, well, first of all, I'm not sure if I even have bolts that are small enough to fit in these holes for this arm, and I would have to, well, I probably would just try to find a commercial arm to put on this, because it is going to need a drop-off arm, because it has this pin thing here that you can't get out, or maybe you can, but I don't want to try to take out. So, alright, where did I put the remote? There it is. Run this down one last time, and then that's going to be it. Get you a view of this on the side. Alright, so there you go. That's the LiftMaster medium duty on a rail. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.